Dr. Segun Musa. It's good to have you here again, Dr. Musa.
Thank you very much, and compliment of the season.
Of course,
Thank you.
compliment of the
Thank
season
you
to
very
you too,
much.
sir. All right, so last time you were here, it was just before the phased reopening of the borders now. But how would you describe the opening of 4 of the land borders?
Yeah, thank you very much. We thank God that the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is commencing in January. And whether we like it or not, the border has to be opened. Because it's not as if the government is willing to open the border, especially now, but because of the commencement, government is forced to open the border. And as a way of testing and a kind of litmus test, government has decided to open only 4 borders out of multiple borders we have to test run the free trade area. And interestingly, nothing has commenced at the border now. Everybody waiting for January for the commencement of that. And again, I must thank your channel for making it a point of duty to enlighten the general public on the needs for this African continental free trade area and benefits that Nigerians are going to derive from this, especially the trading community and the business community. Permit me to quickly say this, that at the commencement of these free trade agreement, we're expecting to have some teething challenges, problems, and I know we surmount it within the shortest time. Again, we need to acknowledge the fact that this is the biggest market in the whole world, which includes almost about 55 countries, about 1.23 billion population. Is a huge market and the biggest since the commencement of World Trade Organization. And the Nigerians need to begin to understand. And I think we need to advise government more on the need to enlighten the public, especially the stakeholders in the business activities, on the need to take advantage of this big market. Whether we like it or not, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement under the AU has given the opportunity to every country, evenly. If we are an industrial nation, the charter or the agreement has made it easy for you as an industrialized nation to continue producing to meet satisfaction of the continent. Again, if you don't have the capacity, because the structure, the configuration is not even in the sense that we have industrialized state in Africa. We have countries that are not industrialized, that are just coping. We don't know where Nigeria classified, where we can classify Nigeria, but for those that are already manufacturing industrialized nation, the capacity is there for them to continue boosting their output to satisfy local consumption. And for those that do not have the capacity, they can also fall within the supply chain forum, where they will be feeding the industrialized nation with raw materials and some other components that are needed to continue running the operation of their industries. Again, take for instance, automobile in South Africa. South Africa do export automobile. And what they do, they depend on countries like Botswana to supply them the leather and some other South African countries to supply. And this is what we're supposed to have been doing in ECOWAS over time. And that's why the last time I was there, I said among the ECOWAS states, it is only Nigeria that is not prepared. And whether we like it or not, Nigeria is on frustrating the ECOWAS development. But now, Nigeria has no hidden place. If we are able to frustrate the effort of ECOWAS, we cannot frustrate the effort of AU now. Because whether we like it or not, if Nigeria should go back to the status quo of all these political statements, the AU will move, and they will move without Nigeria. The world is moving, the world is advancing, and we cannot continue playing politics with economy. Economy determines how far you can grow as a nation. So if you don't take it in a more serious manner, the rest of the world will move on. Again, let us look at what are the preparations we have in Nigeria here, because it concerns us more, and we must be passionate about that. Number one, the supply chain is nothing to write home about when you're talking about logistics. And the organization or the trade union in charge of supply chain are the freight forwarders. We call them the starting talk. We call them the motive force behind every economy. If economy policy is going to fly, you have to involve the freight forwarders. They are just like the hearts of a human being. Without their heart,
other part of the body cannot function.
So are you saying that you're not being involved?
No. Government does not even know the value that we are saddled with supply chain activities, the value we have to the economy. And government needs to begin to realize that, because if the farmers are working hard, you are giving them loans to produce, to farm, to harvest, to do all. If we do not support them, those commodities will not get to the consumer. So we are just like the heart. Without the freight forwarders, definitely medical is nothing to write about. Security is nothing to write about. Nothing will work. And that's why government needs to begin to look inward and look at how do we ensure that the freight forwarding business is harnessed to meet our demands as a nation. And that's why, number one, we have a council in place. The government sees the council as more like a political forum, as an agency of government, rather than to be a kind of private council. Again, this council brings all the freight forwarders together to begin to look at what are the international best practices in terms of training, in terms of empowerment. But as we speak now, this council has not been functioning. And government, if we are to be involved in this African Continental Free Trade Agreement policy, we need to ensure the council is effective. We need to make sure stakeholders are well enlightened and trained to compete favorably with their counterparts. Again, as a freight forwarders, part of our responsibility is to ensure that we bring together all freight forwarders across Africa and begin to catalog ideas on how to improve in our services to meet the expectation of Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
All right, now let me ask you, at the beginning of your statement, you talked about some of the challenges that are expected when the AfCFTA takes off on Friday. So what are some of the challenges that you see and possible ways out?
Number one, the customs orientation needs to change. And not just only the customs, all the government agencies. Number one, let me start with the customs. Customs are used to a kind of annual target by federal government that you must meet this target of revenue every year. So whether you like it or not, whether the trade is being facilitated or not, you must meet that target. So customs can afford to frustrate trade facilitation just to meet revenue target for government. Now we need to look inward and say, look, it's not going to be business as usual. It's not about revenue meeting target now. It's about developing the local content and the local capacity. Because even if you meet the revenue target, definitely government is still going to invest it in the same local content. But what about developing the local capacity? That will not cost government much. Because if business is improving, people will be paying taxes, excise duty will be collected, and a lot of revenue will start coming in. So we must begin to look inward and go away from the orientation of we can only survive through import revenue, and begins to look at we can survive through revenue generated internally. And that is what is obtainable in other advanced countries. Because I don't know for how long we depend wholly on importation. Now, Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement has given us a very big opportunity to develop our capacity in terms of training, in terms of exchange of ideas, in terms of trade integration, and so many opportunities. And that's why I said earlier that, look, it has given opportunity to everybody. This platform will create over 100 million jobs for Nigerians alone, if government knows what they are doing. And I'm not talking about federal government now. And that's why federal government needs to play the lead role, because it needs to begin to engage the state government, the local government, to know what to do at this crucial time for us to benefit from these huge markets. The buyers are waiting for us in other African countries. But what do we have to sell? Take, for instance, regulatory authority like Standard Organization. Standard Organization depend wholly on importation revenue. Instead of being a regulatory organization, they only depend wholly on revenue being collected from imported items. The same thing NAFDAC and other agencies of government. And for how long are they going to continue this? Now, under this system, they cannot collect revenue on traffic generated through African countries. But what are they doing? What are the preparations to show that, yes, our local content will also be developed in such a way to meet international standard? Otherwise, if you are not meeting the international standard, we become a dumping ground. We won't have anything to exchange. We'll just be buying and buying and buying. And this is why we need to call on government to begin to engage all these agencies, Standard Organization, NAFDAC, Quarantine, and Customs, and other agencies, to begin to look at how do we develop local capacity in terms of trading, in terms of production, in terms of industrialization. Even the guests that left now talk about tourism. These are potential, these are opportunity, great opportunities that are coming into Nigeria. And how do we partake? How do we benefit? And that's why we need to call on government to begin to engage the stakeholders. Like my own association, AGAF, we are also bringing other associations together by January, and other stakeholders in the trading community and business cluster groups to see how we can ensure that we sensitize them on what to benefit from these big, huge markets. And whether we like it or not, Nigeria is going to benefit. But at what percentage, I can rate that now. No. It depends on how much contribution and policy drive government is going to put in place to ensure that they encourage us. All those bottlenecks within the port will have to be relaxed. Otherwise, nobody will patronize our port. And I don't want our port to become a football field. I'm sure
you will get to that point. Now, one would have thought that there would be a significant increase in port activities while the borders were shut, but we saw that was not the case. And many say that this probably points to the fact that only goods with high tariffs and contraband come through the land borders now. So do you think that the government will be able to address this owing to the treaties and the AfCFTA agreements, which of course allows, the free movement of goods?
I think I have to disagree. I think people need to talk with statistics. As we speak, most of the goods that comes in through the border stations or land border posts, those are trading goods. And it constitutes over 80% of goods that comes in through that corridor. The problem we have is, number one, the government, through the customs, operate that land border in a kind of manual way, without putting mechanism that will check the traffic that comes in and goes out. So they only speculate, probably a kind of rumor, that everything that passes through here are contraband, they are prohibited items. It's a lie. I can tell you a reasonable number of entrepreneurs, manufacturers, traders patronize our corridor and they pay their custom duty. At what they pay and what they negotiate is what I cannot discuss. But I know most of the goods that passes through that corridor, 80% constitute formal goods and trading goods that are not prohibited. So definitely the rumor about we are seizing items coming through this, they are that lead to, they're just small percentage of what passes through the corridor. So during the last ECOWAS trade liberalization, which was the one I participated as the president representing Nigeria in ECOWAS then, on the Lagos-Abidjan corridor, we put in place all these mechanisms to check the traffic that comes in and goes out within that corridor, so that people will not continue speculating on force, telling us everything that passes through here are contraband, they are smugglers, and all sorts of things. We put those mechanisms in place just to check the traffic. But unfortunately, government frustrated it by closing the border without even allowing us to even test run it. They shut down the border.
But now that the borders have been opened?
Yeah, now that the border has been opened, we are now having more involvement. AU is now participating fully now. AU is coming on board now. We have a department that will also be there to check. So it's not going to be business as usual. The roadblocks that we do have within that corridor by customs, and I'm sure you must have seen in Apapa and other areas too, where they lay siege for every vehicles, every container coming from the port, and they just have to arrest them. So after performing examination in the port, they will arrest your container outside, they will take it to another port, and they will start examination all over again. And all these things are corruption. There's no sane country that will allow such a thing to happen. If the officers in the port are not doing the diligence and the right operations, activities in terms of examination and releasing, remove them and put those that knows the job. Shipment cannot leave the port and you lay siege on the road and arrest again. It is illegal. And I cannot see any government that is responsive that will allow such a thing to happen. It's only in Nigeria here. It's disgraceful. Because it's a self-indictment. If customs have done examination, they release the shipment in the port, and the same custom will say, we are federal task force from customs, we are FOU, we are this, and they will lay siege on the road, they will arrest the container that has been released for from other customs department, and they will take you to FOU department, and you start all over again. The agent will be arrested, the importer will be arrested, and you see all these things are corruption. If those in the port don't know their job, take them out. Bring those that knows the job and do the job. Because we cannot continue organizing a kind of frustrating business environment. Investors will not come. We will continue doing this way. And that's why most of the investment that are coming, they are briefcase investors. They don't invest in their future. They don't invest their future in Nigeria. They only come here to rake in money, cash in and cash out. So if we want to organize a system that will work for all of us, is either we privatize the customs. If they don't know what they are doing, we privatize the customs. Otherwise, if we are not privatizing them, we must give them mandate. Any shipment coming from the port must be duly released. And when they are released, nobody stop it on the road. Right. If they should stop, it must be on intelligence report. And for every officer that has partaken in releasing such shipment, such officer should pay the shortfalls. And if it's something that warrant going to jail, they should be jailed to serve as a deterrent. We can't continue running a system like a kind of mushroom system that is not organized. We have people in this country that know their onion, and all those roadblocks, like I've said earlier on, we must collapse all those roadblocks.
Right,
it's unnecessary.
Just as we prepare to wrap up this segment now, of course, the last time you were here, you talked about some of the challenges that, freight forwarders are facing. So has there been any improvement since then, particularly regarding the issue of clearing of cargoes at the ports?
Yeah, the issues are still there. The bottlenecks are still there. Frustrating issues are still there. We have the issue of multiple agencies that have to do a lot of things manually. They want to do your examination. Everybody will have to parade themselves within the container. When these officers say, I'm satisfied with this examination, the other one will say, I'm not satisfied. And at the end of the day, you have to go from one table to the other. Even in customs. Customs, I keep saying customs don't need to be a physical custom. It has to be a virtual custom. It has to be
it's customs
an automated
because
system.
you keep emphasizing on the customs. Is that really the major issue?
Yeah, it's a major because it's a lead agency when it comes to imports. It's a lead agency. And if the lead agency is not doing the right thing, other agencies will follow suit. Before now, we used to have NAFDAC and standard organizations that operate as a regulatory organization, agencies. But as we speak now, they are revenue agency. They don't regulate anything again. Otherwise, if they are doing the right thing, by now we should be having local capacity in terms of entrepreneurs doing production, building capacity, manufacturing, because their role is to develop local capacity. It's not to go to the port and begins to look at what is coming in and how much we rake in from what is coming in. Some of these agencies like SOA and NAFDAC, they are earning more income even more than customs. If you see their tariff, it's crazy. It will never allow business to grow. It will never build capacity. They are not meant to collect revenue. That's why government is budgeting for them. So if government is budgeting for you and you are still raking in trillions, billions, which you will not even declare at the end of the day. Because I've never seen any of them declaring. But we know they're raking billions, hundreds of billions annually. And where are this money? What are the purpose of this money? And why do you need to rake in revenue? Because the more revenue or prices or costs placed on every imported items, the more the price of those commodity in the market. Whether we like it or not, these agencies have lost track. And I'm sure if government wants us to get it right and begins to benefit from this new agreement under AU, all those agencies is either we scrap them, we fuse them together, or we merge them together, or probably we need to change their orientation because they've lost their relevance. And again, before we round up,
right,
let me quickly say this.
We need to go now. We actually, I wish we could continue. I know there's a lot to be said, but time will not permit us. We just have to wrap up this conversation at this point. But we do appreciate your time, Freight Forwarder and Deputy National President, Air Logistics at National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders, Dr. Segun Musa. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. I wish to be here when the operation commences too.
Absolutely. We'll invite you then again.